Almost ready. On. Okay. All right. Praise Yah. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, what we have is this idea of discovery. And it takes time and it takes work and it's hard. And sometimes I wanted to quit because it was real tough. Okay. But we have to go beyond sometimes. We have to continue and be consistent. So I might not be able to get it all done today. I might be able to go out there and just chip away at a little bit at a time. But my mind is set on finding this leak. Okay. I share that again because I'm trying to let us know that there's some things about us that you and I are going to have to go beneath the surface to find out what's going on with us. And we have to go to deeper, levels and layers, and that takes time and it's going to be frustrating. Okay. Just like when we're in this walk with the Most High, when we're talking about the Torah, I talked to a guy today. He reads the Torah, but he got actually a little depressed. And he said, because he's reading it and he doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand about putting the blood on the right, the right earlobe or the right big thumb or the right big toe, and then put the oil on those areas as well. And he doesn't understand this. He doesn't understand how the Torah is applicable to his life. And he was frustrated. And I myself, I get frustrated too, because often we don't know what some of these things mean. They're actually, it's actually hidden, it's really hidden. And I say that because I don't want us to get discouraged, but it's hidden for a reason. Okay. The secrets of the Most High belong to the Most High. Okay. But those things that are revealed to us belong to us and our children so that we can keep the Torah. Okay. Have you guys ever seen that scripture? Have you ever heard that before?
I have, yes.
Okay. So where that can be found, and that's a great place to go, is in Deuteronomy chapter number 29. Okay. 29. Okay. And this is what it says. Things which are hidden belong to Yahweh our Elohim, but the things that have been revealed belong to us and our children forever, so that we can observe all the words of this Torah. Okay. Let's look at it in the Hebrew, because then we'll get a little bit more insight. Okay. I appreciate you guys' time too for coming on. For you guys is a little bit later it is for me. Matter of fact, you guys are like what, 9 o'clock? Man, I honestly, I appreciate you and I appreciate your time. And I'm thankful that I'm able to teach you. And I'm glad that you've allowed me to do so. I'm honored. So here it says that this Hanis Taroth, these secret things, these things that have been concealed. Okay, so there's a lot of things that have been concealed that in Sathar, okay, they're concealed, they're hidden, okay, and the Most High has turned it away from us so we don't know it. Okay, so there's some things that you and I are just not going to know. Okay, so there's some secret things to Yah, our Eloheinu, right? To our Elohim, but it says Wahik Latoth, right? Excuse me, Wahani Loth. The Wahani Loth here, the revelation, okay, it means to unveil or to uncover or to remove. This word has a lot to do with nakedness. Okay, so if you can see on my right hand side in Genesis 9:21, it talks about how when Noah came off of the ark and he got drunk, and then his son came in and saw he uncovered the nakedness of his father, which was his mother. We also see in about it being exposed, but more than likely, though, according to what we see here in Leviticus 18:6, a lot of it's in 18. Okay, so 18:6, 18:7, 18:8, 18:9 is dealing with the nakedness of a person. Okay, so what it is that the Most High is not going to reveal everything to us, and what he does reveal to us, whatever he does uncover for us, Talanu, it's for us and it's for our children, right? And it's adolam, meaning it's forever, that we might do. Okay, so that we might do. Eth all, which we found this last Shabbat, meaning to be tamed by the words of the Torah. Because we know all means call, and call means the palm of the hand and the shepherd's staff, meaning to tame. So the Most High is using all of his words, his divrei, the HaTorah, to what? To tame us. Okay. This is important to understand and to recognize. Let me see something here. I got someone here.
Welcome back, everyone. We continue to close.
Okay. Shalom.
Or we won't see the big.
So it's the
Especially North Mountains.
it's the Torah that is being used to tame us, but there's things in the Torah that the Most High hasn't let us know. Okay. But the things that he has revealed to us, the things that he has exposed to us, are the things that we shall do. That's for our doing. And the destination is all the words of the Torah. This Torah. So the Most High wants us to know certain things. Okay. So if we're going to find out anything, right, and it's going to be revealed to us, it's going to be revealed in order for us to do the Torah. Okay. It's critical. Okay. Chapter number 12 is where our Torah begins. Our Torah portion this week is dealing with what they call Zazarat. Has anyone found out what Zazarat means?
Childbirth.
Yeah. So we have a few different things that are being spoken of, right? So we're going to be dealing with childbirth, which is called Thazaria, okay, Thazaria, and then we're going to be dealing with Zazarat, which is leprosy. We're going to be dealing with all different types of things in terms of uncleanness, okay? But one of the things that I picked up on, and I've been reading the Torah and I've been reading in Hebrew for a long time, but this came to me today. Okay. When we read our Torah portions, what we need to remember is that the he that's speaking is Yahweh. So everything that we read about the childbirth, right? They're the words of Yahweh that he's speaking to Moshe. Okay. Why is he talking to Moshe?
Moshe was his anointed one that he speaks to his people through.
Yep. And why now though? Why is he only talking to him?
The people didn't want to talk to Yahweh, so they sent Moshe.
Okay. Excellent. So why are you and I reading it today?
Because we're to hear the words of Moshe and do them.
Yes, but let me show you the beauty in what he's saying. Okay. And he spoke. The he here is Yahweh. Okay. Moshe transmitted the information. It's written for us. Okay. The whole episode and everything that came out and what Yah is saying. So right now, we literally don't have Moshe speaking physically to us. Okay. He wrote this down and he's telling us what the Most High said. Okay. But you and I, this is very important. You and I are the ones who are actually hearing this intimate relationship between Yahweh and Moshe, which Moshe transmitted to those people that were out in the wilderness. So for you and I to be hearing this, Yah is speaking to you and I. He's speaking to us. He's telling Moshe, listen very carefully. He said, why dober Yahweh de el Moshe de Lemor, saying, he told him to do this. He told him to go speak, command, speak to the sons of Israel, saying, Ishaki Athazriah, when a woman conceives. It's as if you and I are the ones who are, what you would say, right now, we're behind the scenes. We can actually hear what we're actually being transmitted back into the past. That's where for you and I to be listening to this. Okay. Did Moshe say speak to the sons of Israel and then tell them these words, if a woman or when a woman? Because it's not if, it's actually when. When a woman conceives, did Moshe
No.
say that?
No.
No. So in this Torah portion, you and I, praise be to the living Elohim, will never hear Moshe say when a woman conceives. We'll never hear that in this Torah portion. What we're getting in this Torah portion, which I told you blew my mind, is that Yah is speaking. And you and I, verse number 2 is Yahweh speaking to Moshe. And you and I are reading it today. So you and I are hearing what Yah said. Okay. Now he said, Isha ki thazriya, when a woman conceives. Okay. So the idea here is a Hiphael causative. And it says she conceived. Okay. This is not if, it's when she conceives. Okay. And then she bears a male child as a car. She shall be unclean 7 days. Okay. What does it mean by this causative, her causing something to be conceived? Or how will we read this? And let me click on it so you can look at the word, because Thazria is it has a root. Okay. So the Thazria comes from this word, Zara. Okay. Zara. And Zara means to sow or to scatter seed. Okay. Or to yield, to bring forth. That's the first time it's ever mentioned. Mazuria is mentioned in Genesis chapter number 1. That's our first idea of these plants yielding. So when it says she conceived, and is she sowing it, or is she scattering seed?
Yes.
Actually, she's receiving it. Okay. And she's received the seed from the man. Okay. And so that's why the Zara is a root word that comes from Zerah. Okay. And a Zerah is a seed. Okay. So she's scattering it. It's within her, but the Zara, oh boy. The Zara is from the Zerah. Okay. They share the same root, which are these two letters right here, a Zion and the Resh. Okay. So this has to do with the man and a woman, but she's the one who's receiving it. Therefore, when she got it, it's going to sprout. And he said, and once this happens, and the child is born, after the seed grows and it matures inside of her, then as a zakar, the seed ends up being a male, she shall be unclean for 7 days. Okay. In the days of her nida, of her impurity, that's directly connected to her 7 days. It says like kime, because she's already having that time. So her day of nida, in Hebrew nida, Niddih. I mean, AH is Niddah. It's a time of a menstrual cycle that she has to go through a time of impurity. And it's something that happens to all women. Okay. And they're going to go through this. And then, of course, you know, when you get older, things change. But at that moment, he's saying, I'm letting you know that the time that she has this child is going to be just like her time of her menstrual cycle. And then it says on the Yom, on the Uva Yom, and on the day of our Torah portion from last week was Hashemini. Okay. This in particular child, this male child, is going to be circumcised in the flesh of his adralato, of his foreskin. Why?
Circumcision is a sign of the covenant.
Correct. So because it's a sign of the covenant, okay, for all of the people who are associated with the children of Israel, they must be circumcised. They must be, if they're bought with money, okay, which we can find in chapter number 17 of our covenant with our father Abraham. I want you to see it. Okay. I'm going to start in verse number 7. I'm establishing my covenant between me and you, along with your descendants after you, generation after generation, an everlasting covenant to be Elohim for you and for your descendants after you. I will give you and your descendants after you the land in which you are now foreigners, and the land of Canaan as a permanent possession, and I will be their Elohim. Yahweh said to Abram, as for you, you are to keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you, generation after generation. Here is my covenant, which you are to keep between me and you, along with your descendants after you. Okay. I want you to see the connection. Genesis 17, what verse were we in? I think we're in. Your descendants, right here. What's the root? Zion, Resh, Ayin. So the descendants, so your Zar, okay, your Zara, see that? Okay. Your Zara Ka, meaning that which belongs to you. Okay. So your descendants are the seeds, okay, which includes the feminine as well. Okay. So this doesn't belong just to the males. Okay. As you can see, the Zerah, okay, is directly from Zara, which is what we found in our Torah portion. Okay. So one is scattering it, the other one is actually the seed of it. It's an offspring. Okay. So the Zerah versus the Zerah versus the Zara. Okay. So the Zerah comes from the Zara. So when the Most High is talking about this in our Torah portion, he's literally talking about your descendants. So I'm going to be the Elohim for you and your descendants, Akareka, after you. And I will give to you Telaka and Ulazeraka, meaning your descendants, your seeds after Akareka, the Ethiores and the Mogulreka, in which you're a stranger eth call of the Aharet Sedeka Anan Tala Akuzath, to be a possession to Olam forever, and the Wahayati shall exist to Lahim, and I will perfectly exist to them. To lehem the Elohim. I will be to them an Elohim. Okay. And he says this, as far and as for you, said Elohim to Avraham, and the Atah, the Et, this is the covenant that I want you to lishmor. Okay. Tishmor Atah, you and Nazarika. So all of the after you. Okay. It's interesting. This is really interesting. Because if you notice up here when he talks about your descendants, it says Zareka. Yeah, it says Zareka. Okay. The descendants after you. That's common. Okay. Why you met Elohim Abraham? Okay. Your descendants after you, the Ladodrotham, every generation. So this is the covenant in which you shall tishmuru, they shall keep between me and you. Okay. And between your seed after you, they shall be himol, they shall be circumcised to lakim the kol zakar, every male. So literally, our Torah portion is connected through the males. They're connected through the males. The Most High will use a female, right, in order to bring forth a male or a female. But the covenant is directly connected to every male child, okay, that's being circumcised, right? And he said, you shall circumcise Eth to the basar. So we see here that the Most High, even though in our covenant, he's giving a Torah about this circumcision, right? And he's telling them, hey, the foreskins, it shall exist as an oath. This is an oath between, that's the sign, okay? And we know what that is. Aleph and the Tav, okay? But this is the sign. This is the designation of the covenant. This is what you're supposed to see. And it's going to be between me and between you. Kem, plural. So he's not just talking to Avraham, he's talking to everyone. So when he was giving his covenant to Avraham, when he says you, a lot of people think he's just talking to Avraham. If you look at it, it's in second person plural. That Kim right there means that everything and everyone who's within you. So every person that is a male that comes out of Avraham is connected through circumcision. Okay. And then we see here in we're in 17 verses 12, it says in Uvain, and the child will be Shemoth. Yeah. Shemonath. He will be 8 years old, or 8 days, 8 days. And you're going to circumcise, shall be circumcised to you. Every all is a car for generation who was born in the house that, and or bought with money from any man of a foreigner who not is a descendant. Okay, so even if you have a foreigner that is living in your home, they have to be circumcised if you bought them with money. Okay, circumcision, this is an infinitive absolute. Okay, meaning that, so they say must here, but what they're saying is circumcision will be circumcised all that is born in your house. Okay, and who is bought with money, with silver, and it shall exist my covenant in your flesh. And that right there is plural. Okay. It's going to in your flesh. So he's literally talking to all the descendants that are going to come out of Avraham. And then let's see, and livrith, for the livrith of the covenant for olam, forever. And verse 14, and uncircumcised, a male who will never be circumcised, who does not decide to be circumcised, who doesn't want to be circumcised, or who refuses to be circumcised, in their flesh, in the destination, okay, the mark, the strong mark in their flesh of their foreskin, they will be cut off. That in particular soul, because that's the nefesh, that soul of that person will be cut off from Amiha, from his people. But if you notice, I said Me'ameha. You hear that ha on the end? Okay. So if it's talking about from his people, that's just translating it, but it's actually, it is from her people. third person masculine, feminine singular, which goes to the feminine singular of the soul. Okay. So she will be cut off. Okay. The soul. So we're not talking about the flesh of a person just being cut off if they refuse to get circumcised. What you're talking about is the hanafesh, which is the soul of that person. Okay. The flesh is called basar. Okay. Basar is not what he said here. He said the nafesh. Okay. Oh, here it is in the flesh, basar right there. Okay. So it's not the flesh. Okay. That will be cut off. So what he's saying, if you don't cut off your flesh, if you don't cut off that flesh, you're going to cut off your soul. Okay. And that's the covenant, because the covenant, the et boriti, my covenant, you hafer, okay, or hafar, which is you trodden it. Okay. The word there for the far is dealing with an ox or a cattle. And what they do is, they tread out the grain and they smash it. So literally what he's talking about is not only did you break my covenant, but you've actually smashed and you trampled on what I said. So if you do that, I'm going to cut off that soul from that in particular person who has done such a thing. Okay. All right. And that's the part that I wanted to show you. So going back to Leviticus now, we see that he says on the day, verse number 3, on the day of the 8th on the Shemini, he shall be circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, which is unifying the male child with that covenant that he gave to Abraham, which entitles them to the inheritance, or the Nakalah, which is the inheritance of the land. You may ask yourself the question, or maybe I should ask the question, how would a female, what can a female do? What can an Akeva do in order to be connected to the covenant?
Is she connected through her husband as they are one?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's it. Okay. What if she never gets married?
She's still under her father's rule.
Somebody been reading the Torah. You see Yah's ways? Okay. So the only way that a woman can actually be in this covenant is through a male. That's the only way that she can be in this covenant. Either she's going to be underneath her husband, she's going to be connected through him, because now she literally belongs to him. Okay. Or she'll be underneath her father, which she belongs to her father. See, so a woman is literally transitioning out of one home to another home. She's transitioning from one person who had the authority over to another person who has authority over her. Okay. And that's Yah's way. So if we have daughters and the daughter's not listening to their fathers, is she going to listen to her husband?
No.
No. That's what worries me about my daughters. If they don't listen, this is what I try to teach them. If you don't listen to what I'm saying, you're not going to listen to your husband, because you're not going to ever see him as an authority. And Yah has chosen the man to be the authority. That's his way. That's just what he says. And it's not an authority that's supposed to be abused. You know what I mean? Not like what we see over in this country. You know, it's about following what Yah's ways are. And it's about what Yah sees as what's righteous in the natural order of things and how it's supposed to be. Okay. Verse number 4, on the Ushaloshim, 30 days, 33 days actually, she shall tashev, she shall abide and continue in the blood of her tahora, meaning her purification. So for every male, there's a 33-day waiting period. She literally can't go and she can't touch anything that is kadosh. Okay.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Wonder if you said the woman in order to be under the covenant had to be under a male.
Yes.
Wonder if the father passed away and then the husband passes away.
That's a great question. That's a really good question. What we know is like, okay, so now she's a widow, right? In one instance, if she had a husband and he passed away and she's a widow, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. She's still connected to the covenant. She's still connected. The father, let's look at the example of the daughters that guy Zepholakhad, he had all these daughters, he didn't have no sons, and they were concerned about their inheritance. And they asked Moshe, so, what do you do? Right? We don't have, my father didn't have any sons, but he wasn't part of the rebellion. So what is it? Which is interesting. And he said, well, you guys will get your inheritance, but you have, and to pass on that, you'd have to marry someone. But that's a really good question, Gil. I have to look a little bit further into that. Never been asked that question about. I can assume about the woman who was actually married, who she was already bound to the covenant because she got married to a Hebrew Israelite man, and then she's a widow, so she's still part of the community. Now you're not going to lose. You're not going to lose if you had a father who's Israel. You're not going to lose your covenant. That's it. We can learn that from what Moshe told Zelophehad's daughters. What he told them that. I think my question would be, whose authority would they be under, right? And a widow is by herself. She doesn't have a husband. So she's at the mercy of the community. And that's why the Most High calls for widows and, to be taken care of by the Levites. But a daughter who never got married, I think, don't hold me to this, but I'm thinking more than likely it probably has to do with, they're part of a family, right? The family dynamic is her brothers or her uncle or someone like that. We have to look a little bit more into that. Yes, Sister Pam.
Piggybacking off of that, is it possible for the woman whose husband is deceased and her father is deceased, and I'm thinking of myself in which that's the case, and I'm living with my son, is it possible for me to be under his authority in his house?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a great, absolutely, because in any instance, the males are the ones with the authority, right?
The story about Boaz and
Naomi, yes.
Yeah, the woman who lost her sons and her husband, wasn't she under the authority of the next of kin?
Well, remember I just said, I'm glad you mentioned. I remember I said you're part of a community. I'm thinking an uncle or somebody like that. You know what I mean? Her father's brother, somebody. She has to be under somebody, right? So that's a good point. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking it has to either go to his brother or, because Moshe said, well, they were concerned, like, well, who does his inheritance go to, And he said, you have to marry one of your father's brother's sons, So it's underneath that, their family. It has to be someone in their family. They would automatically default to that. Here's a great example. Esther. Remember Esther?
Yeah, she lived with Mordecai, and
which is her uncle.
Daughter, yeah.
Yes. See what I'm saying? So it defaults to the uncle, one of his brothers. And if he does, it's just next of kin, like you said, Gil. Excellent point. Excellent answers. Those are the answers. It would default to the uncle or someone in that family line. Yeah, absolutely. Sister Pam, my mother didn't want to live with me.
She didn't.
Because guess what I told her? I'm the authority.
Oh, okay.
I'm your mother. I said, I know you're my mama, but whatever I say, I'm telling you, this is just the way it is, Mom. I ain't gonna mistreat you. You know what I mean? I'm your son, but she wanted to do her thing. I was like, nah.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ain't gonna live in another house with some other woman telling me what to do. I said, like, okay, you don't get it. Other people in other countries, they get that. I don't know if you guys know that, but the Indian parents, when they get old, they go live with their sons.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And they're
Yeah.
taken care of. And
Yeah,
everything.
and I understand, I'm sorry to cut you off, but in some countries, I understand that there are no such things as nursing homes
No,
or villages for the elderly because the people take care of their own.
thank you. So that's where we're at. And so when we're trying to, if you're trying to live, they call it ancient times, like me. I'm not living in ancient times. I'm living in cultural times. Like this is the way it should be. This is the way the Yah's order is. That it's about community. It's about us taking care of each other. Your parents been taking care of you all your life, and then when they get older, you're supposed to take care of your parents. That's what it
Yeah.
is. You're supposed to transfer them to a home or none of that kind of stuff. You're supposed to look out for them, cook for them, help them out. If they're still active, encourage that, work out, let them do whatever they want to do. That's just what it is. We're not trying to control anybody. We're just got to be there to help, right? And then also too, all the things that we've gathered over the years, you were going to pass it on to your children anyway. So if you own property and stuff like that, you should, put it in the possession of your kids' hands. You know what I mean? And start teaching them and let them know. If you got multiple children, sell it and give it to them and say, okay, now, it's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. People they don't want to take advantage of that. People get older. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? I want to live in my big mansion by myself. See? And then they die, and then there's this big old house, and it goes bad. That's just the way it is. But in our culture, we're supposed to take care of our widows, and we're supposed to take care of our fatherless, and we're supposed to help one another. And you're right. There is no, convalescent hospital. There's none of that. So we take care of. Okay. So that's what we're finding here. So this woman, she is going through this time of her purification. In the Hebrew, this word Torah sounds like Torah. This one right here. They can't even describe it. They just say pure. But they don't, in the Hebrew, there is no literal definition. There is no absolute definition. There's no word to describe what this is talking about. They have no words in English or any other language that can describe this word. They don't. See? So what we're seeing too is that he said that they shall never touch anything that's kadosh. And then it goes on and talks about a female in a keva. Okay. And she's going to bear her, and then she's going to be in her uncleanness double the time, not for 7 days. Okay. Not for 7 days. What we have, which I found was interesting, is it says 2 weeks, but listen here, look on the bottom. Remember in our Hebrew class, I told you that they're what they call dual plurals. And the signature is this mark, and then the yod, and then the mem, versus just it being plural. It's more, it means it's two of them. Okay. So what's interesting here is shavuayim. Shavua. Shavua, if we click on it, it means 7. Okay. That's what it means. It means a week. Let's click on it. There you go. Okay. So a Shavua right here. Okay. It says, and it comes from Sheva. Sheva is 7. So this is letting us know this is a period of 7 days, right? Or 7 years, a heptad, or a week. So when we're reading this is a blessing, actually. This is truly a blessing. When we're talking about Shavua, because there's a festival called what? Shavuot, right? Which is, it has to do with the week 7 sevens. So the package that the Most High has designated for this time is not just, when he talks about for 7 days, he's not just talking, arbitrarily saying, okay, day number, there could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just going on and on and on. What he's saying is one package of 7 is a Shavua. So the Most High is looking at these days or these years as a packet because he calls it a Shuva Ayim, meaning a dual plural. So the next week is supposed to be exactly like the first week. So they're not just random 7 days. This is the reason why the Most High, when he says that it should be for 7 days, there's something about this time, okay? Like a dual plural, again, has to do with your hands. Why? Because you have 2 of them. They function the same way. They got a thumb, an index finger, ring finger, they've got a palm, okay? You got your feet. That's a dual plural. You got your eyes. That's a dual plural. You got your arms, your legs. Those are dual plurals. And there's lands that are dual plurals. So this is the first time that I've actually seen this. I was shocked when I was reading in Hebrew. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, that's a dual plural. So what are you saying, Yah? I'm not saying like, what he's saying is the 2 weeks or the week, it can't be broken. It's fixed. So you can't do 6.5 days. You can't do 5. It can't be satisfied because what I'm looking for is the packet, which is 7. So for her, if she has a male, it's going to be a packet of 1/7. See, and if it's a female, okay, if it's a female child in a nekeva, it's going to be 2 packets. Of the first packet that I gave is this is the second one. I'm calling it a packet because it's like this is what it is. It's a 7-day packet. Okay, so it can't be broken, right? And so that packet has been determined. Okay, so listen to this. The packet of the 7-day packet is for the male, and then she gets the 2 packets, which equals 14, but is connected directly to her time of her impurity, her menstruation. Anytime a woman goes through a menstruation, it has been set throughout all creation for it to be 7 days. Sometimes they say it's light, sometimes they say it's heavy, but guess what? No matter how you look at it, it's 7 days. So Yah has determined this before. So 7 days, okay, has a connection. Oh, praise be to the living Elohim. 7 days has a direct connection to purity. Okay, so remember the priests went through the process of learning about the offerings, but they also too, they went through a time of consecration for that one packet of 7 days. It couldn't have been broken. That's why he says, if you leave, you'll be what? Tell me, Dr. Red, if Aaron and his sons left the Ohel Moed, the temple, what would happen? You die. You see? So you're breaking the order. Okay. So what we see there is, and these are the things that the Most High wants us to know about our days of purification. Now, the Most High tells us that you guys are in a time frame of Anita, which we'll go over probably later on this week. But the 7 days is Yah's number. That's his number. That's his package. So for a female, you getting 2 of them. Let's ask the question why. Why is he giving an extra 7 days? Why is he doubling up on the 66 instead of 33 days? Why is he giving 66 days for the female? Let's think about it. Why do you guys think that?
I would think not only just purity, but recovery time.
Interesting. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So here's the thing. The males, right? Okay, listen. The males, when a male child is born, right? He doesn't have, okay, here it is. In Hebrew, a nekeva means someone that has a hole. Okay, it's a female. And it comes from this word nekwav. Okay. Nekeva is a female. Okay, and here's someone who's pierced. Right? So this is where it comes from. So Nekeva comes from Nekwav, and Nekwav means to pierce, and the pierce means to put a hole. So this is the reason why females have a hole, because they're going to be pierced, but they're also been pierced. Okay. And the Most High is saying when this female is being born, it's going to take more time for the mother to recover from this female than it is from the male. Okay. There's more parts. The Most High has given more parts to the female than he's given the male. She has more parts. Okay. She actually has to go through the process. The development of her body is different than it is for a male. And that's because of the menstrual cycle. That's because of the breast. That's because of the ovaries. That's because of everything that she has to be able to bring forth. She's designed in a way where she has to do more work than the male. Okay. This is the way the Most High has designed it. Just like okay, so who does the most work? I'll just put it up here right quick. What do you think is easier to do? Is it easier to make the seed, or or which one works the hardest? Is it the seed, or is it the ground that received the seed that has to do the most work?
I would guess and say the ground.
The ground. So even when we think about agriculture and we're thinking about planting, okay, the seed can be of any type. It could be, celery, carrots, cabbage, okra, it could be whatever, right? And it's prolific. I mean, there's lots of seeds that you can plant. And of course, you got to plant a lot of it in order for it to take, because not all of them are going to take. But the one who's doing the most of the work is the ground. The ground is the one that has to have the minerals. It has to have the iron. It has to have the water. It has to have everything in order for this seed to germinate, in order for it to work. Okay. So the ground is doing a majority of the work. Okay. And a matter of fact, the ground is the one that's prepared in order to receive the seed. The ground is the one that's going to hold and nurture the seed. See, very, very critical. Okay. So there's a lot going on with the ground. It's protecting it, it's holding it, it's securing it, it's going to, facilitate it taking root. It's going to, send the right messages. It's going to have the right content. It could go like that. So from my understanding, the Nekeva is a lot more work. Okay. It's not because she's more unclean. That's not true. It's just she's going to take a lot more to have to build and have to go through. So I think you were right when you said that it takes more time for her to recover from a female than it is a male. Okay. I think my wife told me when she had, because I asked her what's the difference between the two kids, because we had a son first and we had a daughter. The daughter did a number on her. But the daughter, she gained more weight. Her eyes, she looked like a raccoon. She went through it with the pregnancy with the girl. I don't know. She just sucked all the juice out of her. As a matter of fact, she did all the amniotic fluid. She took all the amniotic fluid. They had to have an emergency C-section. That's what girls do to you. But anyway, yeah, so it's double the time of her purification. Verse number 6, and when those days of her purification, whether it's for a son or a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year as a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove as a sin offering to the door of the tabernacle of meeting to the priest. And we're going to stop right there. Okay. Why does she have to bring a sin offering? What sin did she commit?
Being unclean.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. You're red. Whether it's for a son or daughter, the sin offering is for the uncleanness. Okay, from our human side. Okay, so when somebody's telling you that, someone died for your sins, we're asking what sin? Giving birth. You understand? So it says a burnt offering and a sin offering. By the way, the sin offering is going to be what is given first. When she brings it, he's going to offer it before Yahweh to make atonement for her, because they're going to be living in Yahweh's presence, but also too, as you know, giving birth, it makes you unclean. So Yah is giving us insight to our humanity. Okay, so no matter how we move it or how we shake it, the Most High is saying you guys are unclean by nature. You and I will have sin on us regardless. So let me ask you a question. Did Christ really take away the sins of the world?
No.
No. Ain't no sin taken from this world. The sin is still here. If you having a child, it's still sin. You had a menstrual cycle, it's sin. You had a wet dream as a male, it's sin. You had sexual relations with your wife, it's sin. It's uncleanness. So Yah shows us about ourselves. He's not showing us to make us feel bad. That's just who we are. So let's accept our humanity, right? And say, okay, this is what you said. So a lot of people don't understand the offerings, don't understand this. This is the part of the class that they don't want to come to find out that, guess what? I am human. And the Yah is not human. And he's not going to send anybody to die for somebody giving birth. Yes, Akoti.
Is this what's meant by the saying, man is born in sin?
Yeah. David said David said, I was conceived. He said it literally, and what he said, and forgive me, I'm not trying to be vulgar. He said his mama got hot. like an animal. She wanted to have sex. He said, that's the way I came here. And that's how everybody got here. Right? That's how he does it. God chose that. That's his way. So he's not going to send anybody to die from what he created. Are you serious? No. Yah hates the world that much. He hates humanity that much. I'm going to sin and kill an innocent man because somebody had a menstrual cycle or gave birth. We'll talk more about it later on this week. Ahavta. I love you guys. Shalom. And Lila Tov.
Shalom.
I'll see you guys later this week if y'all's willing. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Todah Rabah.
Hallelujah.
Todah Rabah.